Dr. Robin, my 9-year-old son hurts his little sister and has zero empathy and doesn't seem to feel guilty about it, even when I talk to him about it. Help, what can I do? This is really starting to concern me. Hi, I'm Dr. Robin Koslowitz, YouTube's post-traumatic parenting expert. Today I'm going to be responding to a question that came in on the Instagram subscriber community because the question deserves a much longer answer than what I can do on Instagram. This is not a 90-second reel. So have you ever worried about that? Have you ever been concerned because your child doesn't seem to have enough empathy or guilt or regret or shame about something that they do, and then on the one hand, you don't want to shame and blame them, but on the other hand, you do want them to feel some sense of empathy towards somebody they hurt? Has this ever scared you? Have you ever wondered about how to do this, especially for those of us with trauma histories who maybe were raised with an older sibling who was harmful, a parent who got angry easily, an invalidating environment in some way, and you kind of worry, like, is my kid growing up to be a narcissist, a sociopath, or is this normal, and what do I do about it? So if this is you, if you have a question like this, if you've ever thought about your kid's behavior and really been concerned about it, click subscribe below so you never miss another episode, because this is the kind of thing we learn to navigate as post-traumatic parents. So I think in this type of situation, the first and most important thing to talk about is, if you want to build your son's empathy skills, you need to separate teaching about empathy from the moment after he hurts his sister. Because the moment after he hurts his sister, he's ready for you to be in punishment, lecture, yelling mode. You know, he hurts his sister, she's crying. It's so common for us to come to that incident and just start yelling, shaming, and blaming. How could you hurt your sister? You're so much bigger than her. Don't you feel bad? Look, she's crying, right? We tend to come with a lot of anger and recrimination in those moments. And when we come with a lot of anger and recrimination, the kid's brain shuts off. Usually what you're gonna get is, I don't care, right? Or she deserved it, right? You're not gonna be having this lovely conversation about empathy. You're not going to have a lovely conversation about frustration tolerance. How do we handle it when someone much smaller than us touches our stuff or annoys us? How do we gently give feedback? We're not having that conversation because you're yelling. Or even if you're not yelling, the child feels probably their own innate sense of guilt, like, ooh, I went a little too far. She's crying. Mom's going to be mad at me. And that predictive sense of like, yeah, my parents aren't happy with me right now, means they're going to shut their brain off, because that's what we do with uncomfortable emotions. We run away from them. That's very normal for a 9-year-old to do. So here's what I want you to do. In the moments that your daughter is hurt by your son, focus on the kid who was hurt. All of your attention on the kid who was hurt. Oh no, you fell down, he pushed you and you fell down and now you're so sad and now your tummy hurts. And I would just focus on that. Okay, let's rub your tummy. Okay, let's see the boo-boo. Okay. I would not give any attention to the aggressor in that scenario. I'm not labeling your child as an aggressor, but in that scenario, I would put all of my attention, because a parent's attention is a very valuable thing. So I'm going to put all of my attention on the child who was hurt and soothing them and making them feel better, and just complete focus on them, which is where your attention should be, right? We go to anger because we want to solve the problem, but your attention should be on your own empathy, because then you're modeling empathy. Oh, you have a very big boo-boo. Show me the boo-boo. Oh, your fingers hurt. Okay, we're going to put some cold water on it and we're going to put some boo-boo cream on it. By the way, mothers, very important, create a boo-boo cream. Boo-boo cream might just be like a, an ointment or like a vitamin E ointment or something that's like basically harmless, but feels very validating when we rub boo-boo cream on something, especially the boo-boos we can't see at all. We're gonna rub boo-boo cream on it, and we're gonna hug you, and we're gonna kiss you, and we're gonna read you your favorite story. We're gonna do everything it takes to make you feel better. in terms of teaching your son empathy at a completely different time, what you are trying to do is to get him to expand his self-concept to include her. So you know that feeling of like when you bleed, I cry, right? Like you have for your children, like it literally hurts me when you're in pain. How does that happen? That happens because that child is part of your sense of self, right? Your self-concept. How do you get your son to put your daughter in his self-concept? You teach him big brothering skills. You know, you're a big brother. And you know what it means to be a big brother? Big brothers know more than their little sister, especially if I'm just assuming that your son is 9 and I'm gonna guess that your daughter's like 4. Big brothers are smart and tall and strong. You know, she won't know how to throw and catch a ball unless you, her big brother, teach her. Big brothers can show little sisters how to like toast a marshmallow safely over a fire with parental supervision, of course. Big brothers know how to go from one tricky bar to the next. They know how to push people on swings. Big brothers know stuff. And you, her big brother, you're gonna teach her that. Big brothers can read stories to little siblings. Big brothers can teach you how to color inside the lines, and big brothers can teach you how to, how to do a somersault. That's what big brothers do. So we're at other times, we're gonna learn big brothering skills. And when you've done some big brothering things, like if you spend 20 minutes with her showing her how to like dig a worm up and look at the worm and watch the worm with interest and fascination, then I'm gonna give you big brothering points, and the big brothering points might mean that like then you and I are gonna spend some time together doing mommy and big boy things. Or maybe it's, rewards on a chart, right? Like a simple, again, I check out, there's a earlier YouTube video about how I feel about sticker charts and rewards. I believe that if they're small and they're for tiny little rewards that give the child a boost, they're fine. So, there's gonna be a reward for that because you've done your big brothering. The idea is to have them connect at moments when it's pressure-free and calm so that he starts really enjoying that sense of being a big brother, that idea, and like really praising him, like, you helped her down from that wall so gently. That's good big brothering. Like I saw some really good big brothering skills. Wow, as soon as she fell down, let's say this time he didn't hurt her, she fell down, you came and ran and got mommy. That's good big brothering skills. Kind of like, when they're holding a baby and the baby looks up at them and you say, look, the baby likes you, right? You want to tune him into how good it feels to take care of another human. And maybe it isn't 20 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's 5 minutes, but you want to praise and notice those moments of thoughtfulness. He comes home from school and he had a birthday party and there's a goodie bag and there's lots of goodies and one of them isn't something he likes all that much and he gives it to his little sister. Don't notice that he doesn't even like that candy. Notice you gave that candy to your sister. That was very kind of you. And then I would tune him into her face. Look how she's looking up at you with shining eyes because she's thinking, this is my big brother who brings me home a candy. Look how happy she is now. It feels good to watch somebody else be happy. Right? So in other words, you're not trying to get him to tune into how yucky it feels to make someone else feel bad. You're trying to tune him into how wonderful it feels to make someone else feel good. You might also do this if you're reading a storybook to them together and you're all sitting on the couch and it's kind of cozy and you say, look how cozy it feels. We're all snuggled up on the couch together. It feels so cozy to do that. He makes a joke and she's giggling. She might not even get the joke, but she's laughing. Look, she's laughing because her big brother made a great joke and she loves it that her big brother does that. So you want to really tune his brain into all the wonderful things about being a big brother and how important a big brother can be in the life of a child and how good it feels to be the protective, knowledgeable, smarter big brother who does all of those things for his younger sibling, and how yummy it feels like to be that smarter, wiser person who knows stuff and who could help you. If he's being protective, like if he comes home and says, some of the other kids weren't being nice to her on the playground, I would really honor, that protectiveness. Thank you for telling me. What a responsible big brother you are. You told me that a different kid pushed her down on the playground, or you told me that she didn't get a turn even though she was waiting patiently. You were looking out for your little sister, and I like that. That's impressive. You're a good big brother. So the more you do that, what's going to happen is she will start to become part of his self-concept. His mind map of his relationships will start to expand to include her. Right now, for whatever reason, she's, out of his mind map of his relationships. Maybe that's because he feels jealous, like maybe she replaced him in some way. Maybe it's like he feels like big, rough, tough, big boy, and she's cute, dainty, sweet little girl. And maybe she knows how to do that. Sometimes little girls can be very winning, and they know how to tug at everybody's heartstrings, and she is littler, so sometimes you say, oh, there's only a red lollipop and a green lollipop, and you want the red one, and so does she. Give in to her, let her have the red lollipop, because after all, she's little. And while I hear why we might say that, I've certainly said things like that, 9 is kind of little too. And sometimes when we do that too often, when we ask a kid to be mature and be unselfish and give way to the younger kid, it can cause some resentment. And we want to talk about that. So if that does happen, if you say, give her the red lollipop because she really wants it, when you give her the red lollipop, you want to tune him in to, wow, that was hard for you. You didn't want to give her the red lollipop, and you did. That's a special thing because you put her needs in front of your own. And that's nice because she feels good now. That was very kind of you. Because you understand that the green lollipop is basically as yummy as the red lollipop, but she doesn't get that. So you were very kind and you let her have the red lollipop. When I am kind, I get a good feeling inside my stomach. It makes me feel good to know that I made another person happy. Can you tune into your stomach and see if you're having that good feeling? So the more you increase his empathy skills, the more you increase his ability, because that's what empathy is, to view another human as though they are ourself, right? To put myself into their shoes and to see the world through their lenses. So you do that in the good moments, in the happy moments, in the good big brothering moments. I can think of, there's a wonderful book about big sistering. It's called Little Miss Big Sis by Amy Krauss Rosenthal, which is about a little miss who becomes a big sis, and you see all the ways in which her little brother just loves having a big sister. I am sure there are analogous books for big brothers, but the same idea, like reading books like that to show your son the idea of being an older sibling can be a very important job in life, and it can be something that can really be wonderful for both of you. Don't try to increase his empathy during moments when he just was aggressive. That is not the time to do that. Now, it could be that you have to solve the problem. You have to say to him, okay, like if he's getting very wild, he's throwing things, he's being very disruptive, and you can't restore safety, you might have to say to him, I need you to go to your safe space, I need you to go to your cat, I need you to go to the couch because I need to focus on her right now, right? Like you may, in that moment, have to problem solve and handle the situation that's happening, but you don't want to do too much shaming and blaming in the moment, because I don't know about you, but I have never learned a single valuable lesson in life from being shamed and blamed. The opposite, right? Now, you can, much later, she's calm, she's in bed, it's hours later, sit him down and say, sounds like your feelings got really big today. And I know when my feelings get big, they sometimes escape. I wonder what happened that made you hit your sister. And then I would validate the valid. So if he says, it's her fault because she grabbed my stuff and she was using my new crayons and I don't want her to use them and she wore down the points and now they're not pointy anymore and I told her not to use them and then she grabbed one and I grabbed it back from her and I pushed her and she deserves it. There's valid in that. It's so frustrating when somebody uses your stuff without permission. It's really frustrating. You like your new crayons and you didn't want the points to get worn down. I get that. Or you were trying to drive your remote control car and she was standing in the way and you told her to move and she wasn't moving and then you couldn't drive the car the way you wanted to and you were getting really frustrated. I get that. I get frustrated sometimes. I understand. When we get angry, anger tells us that there's a problem. Here's the thing though. We can solve problems. We can't solve people. So people can't be problems because people can't be solved. How do you think we can solve the problem of my sister is standing in the way of my remote control car and now I can't play with it the way I want to? Or how do we solve the problem of my sister is playing with my crayons and she's messing up the tips and now they're not sharp anymore? What do you think we could do next time that you have that problem? Because that is a big problem. And he says, yeah, I could call you and ask you, or I could put my crayons in a box and I could, and the one, you'll probably help me sharpen the one that got broken, or maybe if I don't hit her, maybe you would even buy me new crayons because I was so careful not to hit her and I used a lot of self-control and I managed my big emotions and I didn't hit her, and you would help me solve the problem by getting me another crayon. Or you would tell her that she can't stand in the place where I'm doing my remote control car, and maybe you would have set up a place for her to sit and watch because remote control cars are exciting and she wanted to see. So maybe you would have sat her on a chair out of the location where I wanted to do the remote control car so she could watch, because you're her big brother. You're cool, you're exciting, you're fun. If you have a remote control car, that must be the coolest thing ever. So that's why she wants to watch. But we could find a place where she could watch you do the remote control car, but she won't be in your way. Yeah, that's a good time to borrow the brain of somebody smarter. And the smarter person is usually your parent, right? You could have borrowed my brains to solve the problem. Whenever we have a problem that we can't solve, when I have a problem I can't solve, I borrow someone else's brain. I might call Dad and be like, Dad, can't figure out what to do about this. Do you have any ideas? Especially if my emotions are getting big. So when my emotions are big, then I'm not as smart as I usually am. So I might call Dad. I might call my best friend. I might call, for me, I might call a therapist. I don't know. I might call a parenting class teacher. There are people I might call if my emotions are getting very big, so my brain is getting not so smart. So you know what I'll do? I'll borrow somebody else's brain. So yeah, next time, my brain is here and available. I am ready to help you solve that problem. It's okay to get angry. Anger identifies a problem. She's in the way of your remote control car, that's a problem. She's touching your crayons and wearing down the tips, that's a problem. I'm here to help you solve problems. But when anger solves the problem for you, so you hurt her, that's when I have to say, okay, that's not the best way to solve that problem. I get it, because we don't want him to have this persistent sense of himself as bad, as shameful, as evil. We don't want to shame and blame him because he's going to have less empathy. The more we give him a sense of shame and guilt, there's actually research that shows that a lot of people who we would consider psychopaths and sociopaths, like serial killers, were shamed and blamed a lot in their childhood. Shaming and blaming is not an effective parenting technique. So I get it, you got angry. Humans get angry. It's okay that you got angry. So now we just have to teach you what to do with your anger that's a little bit better and better at solving the problem. So do you see how these are two separate incidents, two separate conversations? He might have shoved her in the morning before school, and this conversation might happen at 8 o'clock at night at bedtime. You don't have to link the conversation. Trust me. You don't have to say, if I don't reprimand him in the moment, he's not going to get that he did something wrong, and then he'll never learn, and he's going to grow up to be a serial killer. Opposite, right? Instead, what you want to say is, okay, now I focus on the child who was hurt, and I really nurture her and help her and soothe her feelings and do all of that. Much later, because he already knows that what he did is wrong. He already knows. He knows you're mad at him. He knows that you're frustrated. He knows you don't like it when he hits her, right? He's heard that before. Much later that night, that's when to talk to him. And also he's calmed down by then, and then you've calmed down. So it's so much easier then to have a productive conversation about how are we handling this problem next time, because this is indeed a problem, and I want to help you solve your problems, because that's my job as a parent. I want to help you do that. I hope this was helpful. If you're a post-traumatic parent and your kid's anger or your kid's lack of empathy or your kid's fighting really gets to you, if you find that a trigger and it's really hard for you, please comment below. Let me know if this was helpful, if you agree, if you disagree, if you have other questions on similar topics. I really do shoot videos in response to every comment I get when you're asking for a video about a specific topic. So please let me know what you want me to talk about next. If you want to hang out where your fellow post-traumatic parents hang out, check out @Dr. Koslowitz Psychology on Instagram. If you want to read my Psychology Today blog posts, which are specifically about parenting and how to do post-traumatic parenting, check out the Targeted Parenting blog on Psychology Today. And if you want to hear my long form interviews with experts on the intersection between trauma and parenting, check out the Post-Traumatic Parenting podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, the Post-Traumatic Parenting book is forthcoming from Broadleaf in 2025, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Until next time.